Recording in progress.
Okay, so welcome to the Worcester School Committee meeting, and if you can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem. The National Anthem is sung by Amelia Breen from Worcester Technical High School. So we have the consent agenda. Roll call.
Member Alvarez. Present. Member Vicaria.
Oh, sorry. You're right. That was my mistake. You were right. So roll call.
Member Alvarez.
Yes.
Present. Member Vicaria.
Here.
Member Benenda. Here. Member Guardiola.
Here.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Here.
Member Mailman.
Here.
Member McCullough. Here. Member Roy.
Here.
Mayor Petty.
Here. We're going to do the consent agenda. Roll call.
Member Alvarez.
Member.
Through the chair, can we just hold out the resignations for a separate discussion?
That is, what letter is that? That's each. I mean, sorry. That is 3, right? 3? Okay. So we'll do the roll call, then hold out 3 for the, so we'll do the roll call separately.
Member Alvarez.
Yes.
Member Vicaria.
Yes.
Member Benenda.
Yes.
Member Guardiola.
Yes.
Vice Chair Johnson.
Yes.
Member Mailman.
Yes.
Member McCullough.
Yes.
Member Roy.
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. Okay. Member Jeanette?
Through the chair, I was wondering, through HR, there were a lot of people that were special educators that had resigned. And I was just wondering, if you knew why and what are we doing for to replace that group of people, because we're so required to provide their services by a certified special ed teacher.
Dr. King?
Thank you for that question through the chair. We continue to monitor all of our resignations, and as I've stated in the past, we do have exit interviews, and we continue to encourage people to actually complete them, and then we ask if we can meet with them. In fact, we just met with 2 folks recently to just gather why they were leaving, but we are very aware. We continue to be really proactive in recruiting for this particular group.
So through the chair, is any reason, like, for example, the large caseload that the teachers are carrying right now?
Thank you.
So through the chair, that has not necessarily been what was communicated with us. For example, if someone was leaving because they were moving out of the area. So that particular reason has not been the one that has been most communicated with us. But again, we can only share what people have shared with us.
And through the chair, have we replaced any of the speech therapists?
So through the chair, we recently did hire one speech language pathologist and one SLPA.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Motion to approve that item, in favor? Opposed, so ordered. Okay. So we have some health items from Student Advisory Council. My understanding the students are online. The first one, ensure that all students have access to food options at the lunch is essential for promoting inclusivity and meeting the dietary needs of Muslim students. The proposal would suggest partnering with certified vendors or training training cafeteria staff to prepare halal meals. Clearly labeling those options on menus and conducting a survey to assess demand, and could help create a more equitable school environment by ensuring all students feel respected and included regardless of their dietary or religious requirements. Who's up for that? Casey?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, just introduce yourself and
Good evening, this is Mary Jane Batar, I'm a senior at Worcester Tech. And with this item, we understand there are many options offered at schools already, but many students aren't aware if they have them at their school. And this is leading to a lot of students who use halal options to not eat school lunch. We'd like to hear from students who require halal options to improve in their school experience, which would overall benefit not only the school at this moment, but like future generations of Muslim students who may need the halal options, or just overall Worcester being more inclusive.
okay. Thank you very much. Glad you'll be able to make it tonight. We'll send that to the administration. All those in favor, opposed, so awarded. Next item is to foster a more inclusive Worcester Public School community that is crucial to ensure that all schools are equitably represented in academic recognition, which includes actively promoting awareness of available opportunities and academic excellence awards across all institutions. Furthermore, staff members should be encouraged to keep students well informed about these opportunities, and ensuring that all students, regardless of their school, have the resources and support necessary to pursue academic achievement and recognition. And that's going to go with the administration. Is that student Casey? Is that student on?
Yeah, it's me again, thank you. So the big ask with this item is to ensure that there are academic and professional opportunities offered to all students at all times. We understand certain schools like Worcester Tech, because of our shops, may have more like internships and opportunities that other schools don't have at all times. So the big thing is to ensure that there are opportunities for everyone. Maybe somebody at South doesn't have something that someone at Tech or North would like to have. And we believe students excel more often when they're encouraged to do so by adults around them. So if we have adults actively encouraging students to participate in an internship or maybe an academic opportunity, that would overall lead to their success. More specifically, this could be in the form of like a separate newsletter being sent out to all students across the district that is specifically geared towards these are opportunities for students, maybe during weekends, school vacations, breaks, after school, anything like that. Or it could be as simple as just a bulletin board being required at all schools. There definitely is at some schools, but again, not all schools have the same things being offered. So if it was something just as simple as that, just something to get students to see that there are opportunities offered to them and they don't have to stick to what they already know.
Yes, and I'd like to add to that. I'm Army Rose Bunyan. I'm the representative for Burncoat. And as Mary Jane said, Worcester Tech has a lot of opportunities and stuff for internships. And I've been interested in internships myself, but I never know where to look, and most of the teachers don't know either. So it would be much appreciated if there was, some sort of newsletter about it to make students aware of these sort of opportunities.
Okay, let's send that to the administration. Thank you for coming on, both of you coming online. Presentation was well done well, so motion to refer to the administration. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Public comment, any member of the public may address the committee regarding any item before the item for 2 minutes. Those people will state their name, their residence, and the item that they wish to speak on. Is your name, state residence, and
My name is Kirsten Frazier. I live in Worcester. I'm an educator at North High School. I teach multilingual students. I'm also the GSA advisor. That part's going to come in just a second. Talking about a few things on the agenda. Number one is from the Student Advisory Council, SA 411. Yes, we definitely need a recycling program instituted at all of the schools. There is a terrific amount of paper that does get wasted, and I will admit that I am guilty of it at sometimes because my students work better when things are on paper. That's a good way to learn for multilingual students, but we need some way to dispose of that paper once it's been gone through responsibly. Also, a composting program wouldn't be a bad idea if that doesn't already exist. I also, for C&P 311, which was the request about gender-neutral bathrooms at North, I understand the plumbing code restrictions, but would it be possible to remodel the stalls so that they have taller walls and doors that close completely, which would meet the requirements for a gender-specific or gender-neutral space without having to replumb the building, and then they could be just labeled as this bathroom has urinals, this one doesn't. It would be a much easier fix, and it would make a lot of our students a lot more comfortable. Related to that, item GB 510, which is the resolution regarding support for and protection for LGBTQ students within the schools, the Safe Schools Resolution. I spoke on Tuesday about this as well, so some of you this may be a repeat. My students are terrified. They know what's happened in the past. They have seen what has happened to the trans communities and to their friends in other states. They already know people who are coming to Massachusetts as a safer space, not completely safe, but a safer space. And they want to know that we have their backs. My own children are part of that community. I am a part of that community. My oldest child is trans and non-binary. My daughter is trans. My youngest is my token cis child. We love him. Anyway, he's a doll. But we need to make sure that we are protecting all of our students and that we have the courage to stand up and say, you are safe in our schools. We have a wonderful policy that protects our students from unauthorized incursions, from ICE agents. That's wonderful. We need to also make sure that we are protecting all of our marginalized students. Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kate. I'm a resident of Worcester, and I'm here to comment also in favor of item GB 5-10. I have 2 kids in the Worcester Public Schools, both of whom happen to be non-binary. My teenager loves languages, music, drama club, math club. My younger child plays piano, sings, composes music, and loves math and coding. Every day I send my kids off to school with a hug and a smile. And while there's always a little part of me that worries about how the world will treat them that day, I've been reassured by WPS policies and practices that if any issues should arise related to their gender identity or expression, the school is prepared to meet the moment in a respectful and inclusive way. Please don't let this change. I'm not naive. I'm very aware that many residents and families in this district either do not understand or are outright hostile toward gender-expansive people. But every kid deserves an education. Even the classmates who say, my religion doesn't believe in people like you, or the peers who refuse to use my kids' pronouns on the playground. Even the children whose parents are cheering the federal measures to dehumanize my babies. I would never let those kids be denied their right to an education. I don't want anyone to feel unsafe at school due to any aspect of their identity or beliefs. And I know the vast majority of teachers and staff feel the same. The LGBTQ+ Safe Schools resolution would help not just the families of queer and gender expansive folks, It would also help support faculty and staff by maintaining clear guidelines for conduct. Reassure staff that you have their back in protecting equal treatment in the classroom. Reassure parents that our kids are welcomed and supported regardless of the actions or inactions of those in our federal or local government. And I just want to correct, I think earlier I said please, and I'm not really asking, I'm stating an expectation that we maintain the safety of all our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. What's your name, sir?
Hi, my name is Alex Rivera, and I'm a resident here in Worcester and a paraeducator at Vertical Middle School. I'm here to speak in support on item general business 510. I'm a co-advisor for the GSA at my school, and I'm scared for the future of our community. My body is currently in survival mode, and a feeling I have not felt in years. So many of you don't understand this feeling. It feels like the time when I was a kid, acting like a person I was not and hiding in the closet to fit the norm. I don't want my students and our queer youth to have to go through that like I did and many of the LGBTQ plus community did. My students are scared for their lives with this federal administration. But with this agenda item, it brings a glimmer of hope for our queer students and educators. Please, I urge you to pass this item so our students don't have to go and hide in the closet. I hope you all make the right thing, do the right thing, and for our queer students and pass this item.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Siobhan. I'm a Worcester resident. I also spoke on Tuesday and I got very emotional, so I'll try not to tonight. But it's about my kid who's 9. They're over here. We actually moved here, my kid was born in England. We moved here a year and a half ago. I got my dream job at Clark, so bought a house, gonna stay. This is our home. We're making our home and we're growing to love it. It's not easy being the new kid in school. It's not easy being the new kid when you have a British accent. It's not easy being the new kid when you have a British accent and you're non-binary. So my kid had a really hard time. I just asked them permission to share that a year ago. They said they didn't want to be alive. It was a hard moment, but we had a lot of support, and much of that support did come from the school, from the teachers and the staff, as well as from the community. They're doing much better right now. As I shared on Tuesday at the city council meeting, they are in chorus now and learning trumpet, and they were elected class rep. And so they go to their student council meetings. They're doing taekwondo. They love video games and reading and Dungeons and Dragons, and that's entertainment. I want them to continue to feel safe, and I want them to know that other students are safe and that the faculty and staff in the community are safe. It would be really important to us that you pass the LGBTQ plus Safe Schools Initiative.
Thank you.
I'm Napier, Worcester, Mass. I'm here also for 510, protections for LGBTQ youth. It's just the right thing to do. It's a no-brainer. This is what our community is about. We don't want our kids going to school scared. And we're all about inclusivity, a sense of belonging. It's so important to send this message to our kids. A few years ago, our coalition works to identify gaps in services in the community, and we had heard of the higher incidence of LGBTQ bullying in the schools, and so we were part of a task force convened with the Department of Public Health here in the city to address this. So we know it's such a need. So if it's a need now, then with all the rhetoric now, we need this more than ever. I'd also just like to speak on behalf of ROS 59, considerations of next year's budget. We're doing some wonderful work in this district. The parents so appreciate the efforts for school culture, climate, social emotional health, so many listening to parent needs. Please consider keeping up that wonderful work that's happening in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the Worcester Public School Committee. My name is Caden Davis. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a Worcester resident and a member of the trans community. I'm here to request you pass the LGBTQ Safe Schools Resolution to ensure that Worcester Public Schools remain free from discrimination and harassment and are truly safe spaces for all children. As we know, and as we've heard, LGBTQIA+ youth are facing unprecedented threats violence, and barriers to equal opportunities simply because of who they are. The federal government is actively stripping away our rights, but Worcester has the power to stand firm in protecting its students, teachers, and school staff. I'm absolutely terrified as an adult, someone who has access to care and an incredible support system. I'm truly terrified most days. I can't imagine the fear that trans young people have right now. Being a young person is hard, school is hard, and existing in a world that is trying to erase you is really, really, really hard. Let's not make things any more difficult for our young people. The difficult truth is that if this resolution does not pass, more of our trans youth will die. They are already dying. Please, let's give them hope. They need us to fight for them today so that they can make it to tomorrow. Massachusetts law is clear. Discrimination based on gender, identity, expression, and sexual orientation is illegal, but Worcester Public Schools have a responsibility to go beyond legal compliance and be proactive in ensuring that every student, educator, and staff is safe, valued, and supported. The current attacks on our rights depend on fear and preemptive compliance. Worcester has a chance to lead with courage and set an example for other districts to follow. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Webb, City of Worcester. I'm also in support of CP 311, but I'm here today in support of G510, resolving to protection of LGBTQ plus and trans children and their families in the Worcester public school system. This is something that Worcester needs to do to set an example for all of the other school systems, to set an example for the larger public, that for other political bodies in Worcester. Because this is written very well. It says, despite the action of current president and inaction of many other leaders, and I'm adding that some very local part. This is a straightforward and well-worded request that is asking to declare Worcester schools a safe space for students, meaning that Worcester is a place for students to learn, thrive, seek assistance, information, and support free from discrimination and bullying. And given the current climate in our country and city, the district affirms its right to adopt or follow its own policies and a commitment to upholding our current political policies on discrimination and bullying. So I recognize that some of the more conservative members of this body might attempt to fearmonger with the concept of losing federal funding, but I implore you to instead err on the side of humanity and compassion and recognize that the Worcester Public Schools should be supportive of all students, not just ones who look, speak, and date, and exist in alignment with your beliefs. Don't shove kids in the closets for your own comfort. Lives literally depend on it. Give the kids hope. Thank you.
Okay, seeing nobody else, get some people online. Please, I think we have Mildred online. Mildred, just have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you. Mildred Martinez, Worcester resident, parent of a high schooler at Burncoat. I would like to speak in favor of GB 3-48, response to exploring the hiring of athletic trainers for high school athletics. I think it's a testament that our kids are talented. The boys high basketball team from North winning state championships, the past 2 years in a row is just a testament to, how wonderful and talented we have children here. But the reality is that we're competing against districts that, are giving much better, opportunities. And I understand that there are budget constraints, but this could very well be opportunities for some of our students, to have access to further education. And I just, ask that it continue to be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Joshua Crowe, unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joshua Crowe, speaking in support of the LGBTQ plus Safe Schools resolution, as well as gender inclusive bathrooms. I'm a Worcester resident living in District C, and I'm the founder and president of Love Your Labels, an organization that supports queer and trans youth and families in our city and works to create affirming spaces where queer and trans kids can thrive. I also sit on the board of the Worcester Education Collaborative and the Community Advisory Board at the UMass Chan Medical School for the Collaborative in Health Equity, and have been working in education equity for many years. I really appreciate the efforts of Superintendent Menares and her administration to ensure LGBTQ+ students' needs are met, and this resolution tonight will show our students that our elected officials seek to maintain and amplify these efforts. And thank you to Member Sue Mailman for bringing this to the committee. And we have a lot of amazing teachers and staff at the Worcester Public Schools, which I am grateful for. And working with trans youth specifically, I can speak to personal stories of young people in our schools who have experienced bullying from their peers, and teachers who may look the other way, or well-meaning administrators who simply can't get pronouns correct, or health teachers who may skip over the LGBTQ+ inclusive elements of the health curriculum. I can speak to parents reaching out asking for more resources for their child who is struggling. And we need to recognize that addressing these issues takes intentionality, training, and resources. Folks have talked about the fact that queer and trans students experience higher rates of bullying, victimization, and harassment at school. And this is not just national data. This is found here in Worcester. It's cited in the Greater Worcester Regional Youth Health Survey conducted in 21, and as well as the current Community Health Improvement Plan. I could go into the data about these impacts on mental, emotional, and physical health of our students, like increased rates of suicide and attempted suicide, but I want to highlight the possibilities when we create truly affirming environments for queer and trans students. Through research from the Trevor Project, we know that students who feel their school is affirming and supportive have lower rates of attempting suicide compared to those who do not. Trans and non-binary young people who have access to gender-neutral bathrooms at school have lower rates of attempting suicide compared to those who do not. Queer and trans folks are scared, my adult friends are scared, and the young people I support are scared. And it is our responsibility to ensure our students are not just allowing them to be in our schools and city, but fighting for them to show up as they are. It's my hope tonight that this resolution will pass unanimously, and I welcome partnership in the years ahead to ensure our schools and community are intentional in how we're supporting all our students. Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to speak on Sue Mailman's resolution to keep LGBTQ students safe. So the targeting of LGBTQ youth is increasing. There's a rise in violent and hateful rhetoric along with discriminatory legislation aimed at the LGBTQ community. Dangerous anti-LGBTQ stereotypes are spreading and trends on social media, putting our LGBTQ youth in a more vulnerable position than ever before. The stigma created by disinformation can make schools hostile environments, endangering students who fall outside the gender binary. We must recognize how vulnerable our LGBTQ youth are. LGBTQ students face harassment at school and have reported feeling depressed and hopeless. LGBTQ students and teachers lack protections from discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. I urge the committee to adopt the comprehensive policies that protect LGBTQ students from discrimination and bullying. These protections ensure that every student, educator, and parent feels valued and safe in our schools. Educators and school staff need training and resources to effectively support LGBTQ students, understand their unique challenges, and learn how to keep all students safe. To our community members, let's stand in solidarity with our LGBTQ youth and community. Their fight for recognition is our fight as well. I encourage parents and community members to advocate for a school committee that champions the rights and acceptance and works to uplift the culture of all Worcester Public School students. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Dina. Deputy.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dina Tedeschi, and I'm a Worcester resident as well as a Worcester Public School parent. I'm also a community advocate and supporter of LGBTQIA+ individuals, especially students who identify as that, as well as their families, their parents, their caregivers, and their loved ones that are also LGBTQIA+. I want to urge the school committee to support GB 510 related to the protection of LGBTQ+ and trans students and their families. It is critical that we ensure the safety of these students in this increasingly hostile national political climate. And I want Worcester to be the beacon of light and confidence for these students and families. And doing so doesn't minimize or harm others, doesn't take away from the importance or safety of other students. Worcester and its schools must strive to continue to be a safe space for LGBTQIA+ students and staff and their families. Other folks this evening already talked about some pieces I was going to highlight regarding how important it is regarding suicide risks for these young people and their families. It's incredibly important that we recognize that. The Worcester School Committee needs to be a positive example and a quality and genuine concern for our LGBTQIA students and staff and their family members. I also want to express my support for many of the Student Advisory Council agenda items that really impact those students, including the young ladies or folks that spoke about the halal. And I also want to support ROS 5-3 and want to see the great work that the superintendent and her team are doing, and so many positive actions, including the climate and culture among those. Also, making students feel safe allows students to be their best self and thrive as completely as possible, which is what our goal is. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jay. No, Jess. No, Jay's on, that's fine.
Hi there, Jay Turner, Worcester resident, Worcester Public Schools educator. I'm speaking in support of the GB 510. I just felt moved to say that now more than ever, our queer students need your support, not just tolerance and acceptance, so that they have the same access to a quality education as their straight and cisgender peers. In addition to the declaration of Worcester Public Schools as a safe place, we need to back this up with action to make it mean something for our students. Support is more than words, it's more than Pride Month or a day of remembrance, but showing up and being able to navigate the everyday situations we encounter as educational professionals. Knowing how to refer to a student respectfully, help them navigate socially, advocate for themselves, help them address bullying and discrimination, and treat them like the humans that they are. However, at this point, if you're, the only way educators can know how to do this is if they have a particularly brave or proactive person who's willing to put on some kind of training for them. There's no official resource or professional development for Worcester Public Schools and educators, and I hope that this is something that's going to change, as if we want to be welcoming schools who graduate curious, empowered, and engaged learners. We have to be able to provide a learning environment where they feel safe no matter what their identity is. We're actually obligated to provide this learning environment for students according to Massachusetts law. So I support this resolution. I hope it passes, and I also hope that we have a plan in place to act in alignment with that resolution.
The next speaker is Jess.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What's your name, citizens?
Hi, my name is Jess. I am a resident of the city of Worcester. I use she, her pronouns. I am a Worcester Public Schools alumni, an employee, but most importantly, a parent of a first grader and next year a kindergartner in Worcester Public Schools. I'm speaking in support of GB 510, the Safe Schools Resolution. As an employee of Worcester Public Schools, I'm a school adjustment counselor. Many of the students that I've worked with identify as transgender and non-binary, and they are depending on adults in our school communities to make safe, inclusive spaces where their identities are not only safe, but also celebrated. Many people have already talked about the mental health impacts of not having those safe spaces for our LGBTQIA youth, and I just want to underline that in order for us to actualize the vision of a learner that we talk a lot about in our school settings, we need to first have safe spaces so that our young people feel as though they can become, that they are, and can be their full selves. In discussing recent national and local events with my 6-year-old who's in first grade in Worcester Public Schools, she continues to ask me why people are being treated differently based on who they are. I don't have a good answer for her because there is no good answer to that. They should not be. In passing the Safe Schools resolution, Worcester Public Schools is sending a message to the LGBTQIA students, staff, and families that they're loved and welcome in Worcester Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, Carol Powers?
Thank you, Kara Burke Powers. My pronouns are she, her. I am a parent of a Worcester Public School child in the 6th grade and an alum of Worcester Public Schools. I also teach future teachers at both Worcester State and Clark University. And all of those things, I think, give me a specific vantage point in this moment. So many of my students who are undergraduates, even those who are trans and non-binary themselves, when we've talked the last couple of weeks about their concerns in this moment, it's for their students. Whether that's in after-school programs in our community or as student teachers in our schools, they are showing up and putting aside their own very legitimate concerns out of fear for their kids, because that's what so many of our educators do. I also want to just really quickly thank the students for their items. My daughter also is vegetarian and eats kosher, and so I'm very supportive of us supporting the cultural and religious needs of students for their dietary needs. But back to the resolution, I'm glad that we're talking about safe spaces. I think, as many others have alluded to, in this moment, safe spaces are not enough. That is like protecting, but that just means like we're like shielding, and we need to be building brave spaces where our students and educators, as others have alluded to, have the clear guidelines and support to celebrate people's whole selves, whether that is their LGBTQIA identity, their cultural identities, their linguistic backgrounds, all of these things that are being targeted right now. I went to school in Worcester in the 90s, and we had really excellent sex ed, but we were still fighting the city around things like contraception access, like condoms weren't allowed on our school projects. This was like very controversial. So it feels like very familiar, a lot of these fights that were happening. But then right after I graduated, the Bush administration started, and we had lots of compelled compliance with hate around things like our abstinence-only education, at the state level, not being able to do the best practices that we knew around language inclusion with the UNS initiative. And so the idea that we would comply with federal law, which I don't think anyone here is suggesting, but I think it's important to explain why we should do this proactive step as opposed to what others might be doing right now, is that that's just to see how far we'll go in selling out our community for trying to keep things as level as we can, but there's nothing level right now. So I think we need to show up. I really want to thank Member Mailman for putting this out there, and hope that others will support it and keep up the really excellent work that the superintendent is leading.
Thank you. Next we have Nolia.
Good evening, this is Noelia Chaponia. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a Worcester resident and Worcester Public School alumni. I will keep my post short, as I agree with all those who have contributed their experience, thoughts, and support. I am in support of SA 53, SA 51, GB 510, and CNP 311. These items are crucial to be inclusive of all of our students within the Worcester Public School community. I strongly support the Safe School resolution, as well as the public petition for adopting all students' bathrooms at North High to be gender inclusive. I urge the school committee to unanimously vote in favor of these. This resolution is crucial for ensuring the safety and well-being of our LGBTQ+ students, as well as the Worcester Public School community. Again, I urge the unanimous vote from our elected school committee, and we look forward to continuing to uphold our values of inclusivity, equity, and safety for every student in our school system. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, anyone else? Please unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mayday, and I am a resident of District F in the city of Worcester. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I am here in support of Resolution GB 510. Sorry. I'm speaking today in support of the resolution to support our LGBTQ plus and trans children in the Worcester Public Schools. Our children are our future, and the future is today. We need to do everything in our power to protect all of our children, but especially our LGBTQ plus and trans children in our community. It just absolutely breaks my heart when I see people dismiss the fact that the highest percentage of suicides or attempted suicides in our country and in our community, as we heard earlier today, are committed by our LGBTQ plus and trans young people. Children are losing their lives. Children learn what they live. And if we are teaching our children to hate themselves and others, we are setting the wrong example. We need to do better, and we need to create supportive and intentional safe spaces for our students. Thank you, school committee members Sue Millman and Superintendent Monades, for all of your work, your support of our students, and for bringing this up to the light. Words matter. Thank you.
Sissel?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
My name is Sally Sissel. I'm a resident of Worcester, and my pronouns are she and they. I'm calling tonight with multiple identities at play. Firstly, as a co-founder of the Worcester Hurrah, which is a diasporous Jewish community, I want to speak in support of SA 5-3, making halal food available to Muslim students. It's incredibly important that religious minorities have the material and dietary needs, have their needs met in order to show up fully as learners and as fully included in the school environment. I also want to speak in support of the Safe Schools resolution, and that I do as a health educator, a youth worker, and as a member of the peer community. It's been one of the greatest honors of my life to professionally accompany youth as they acquire the information and skills necessary to figure out who they are in relationship to themselves and in relationship to others. And that's work that has to be done with conditions that allow them to step into that full flourishing of identity. Without the space to try things, to make mistakes, to grow, to learn, to ask questions, and to have a net of loving, supportive adults around them with whom they can ask questions and expect unqualified, uncritical support, it leads to all of the negative outcomes that many people have spoken to eloquently tonight. This resolution asks at a bare minimum that Worcester continue to observe the existing Massachusetts law to which it is already beholden. So that is a line right there that we didn't want to slide past, right? There are already laws in place requiring this. What this resolution so brilliantly does is to say, here's where we won't go past, and here are the things that we can really offer. Here's a building, a launch point for us to think what some of the other educators tonight have said, to really build out training, to build out competencies, to build out programs that take what is already provided for in Massachusetts state law and to make it an even more safe and welcoming and inclusive environment for students who are going to be receiving a lot of messages right now that there are lots of people who wish that they didn't exist. And to think about what a child, through that identity formation process, as they are growing and learning, to really sit and feel and think into what that experience is of a child told that they don't deserve to exist.
Thank you.
I want you to sit with that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Elizabeth Stoddard?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So my name is Elizabeth or Lisa Stoddard. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a professor at WPI, also a Worcester resident, a parent with 2 children in the Worcester Public Schools, a member of the queer community, and also a volunteer librarian for West Hatnick Elementary. And I'm here to urge you all to support GB 510 to ensure that Worcester Public Schools are free from discrimination and harassment and are safe spaces for all children. As a parent and as someone who's present regularly in the library, I've heard about bullying and also seen issues in terms of lack of representation at our school. This includes having students cross out the word gay in music class, students saying that being gay is bad, and children being questioned about the validity of their LGBTQ families. In terms of lack of representation, until this year, West Tatnick was celebrating all History and Heritage Months except for LGBTQ Heritage and History Month. The reason was that the teachers were not sure how to answer questions from students should they arise. Specifically, the concern was about how to discuss what each letter in LGBTQ meant in a way that was appropriate for children in elementary school. Luckily, our principal and vice principal were open to being educated in order to serve as better educators to the students in their care. They signed up for training with DESE's Safe Schools Training Program. The Safe Schools Training Program was founded in 1993 to address concerns of bullying and suicide risks that face LGBT youth in Massachusetts schools. From speaking with other parents, their school administration has not had the same opportunity as West Tatnick has had. And West Tatnick recognizes that this is really just the tip of the iceberg here in terms of their own education on the issues to better support LGBTQ youth and families. I also wanted to note that there's been some research done and published at Clark University that shows that LGBTQ youth in Worcester have higher rates of homelessness, victimization, abuse, lack of needed health care, social support, and are more likely to leave Worcester schools without a high school degree. The research shows that Worcester LGBTQ youth often fall through the cracks, and also that Worcester Public Schools are a clear place where students can receive support, and I've emailed that report to you all and encourage you to read it.
Thank you.
I know that at this time, people may be worried that if we show public support in areas targeted by the federal government, that we could be putting ourselves at risk. But if we look at some of our great leaders throughout history, Representative John Lewis has a legacy of discussing and encouraging us to get into good trouble. We should act to do, I will wrap up. We should act to do the right thing to protect everyone in our community, and particularly those most at risk. And as Martin Luther King says, it's always the right time to do what's right. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Carol Seaman.
Thank you. I too want to support GBS 10. I totally support all the people who have spoken before me very eloquently. I think one of the, not only should this be passed by the school committee, it is a very important resolution, but the most important thing I have learned tonight is that we need training for our teachers. Just that the way that West Tatnick principal and vice principal had to go outside the system to get training. I think this is urgently needed, and I would encourage this committee to pass this resolution. I also want to speak to my personal support of Superintendent Menares in her statements regarding immigration and the ICE coming into the school, the possibility of ICE coming into the schools and being at bus stops. I think this is a very important stand that we must all take, and those of us who are not are not people of color, we also have a stand to take, and we need to speak up. If we are on a bus, if we are on a train, if we are walking down the street and we see something, we need to speak up. ICE is not going to target us, nor can they do anything to us if we speak up for our fellow Worcesterites or anybody who is visiting the city. So I am very, very appreciative of the administration and particularly of Superintendent Menares.
Thank you. I think this is the final speaker is Robert Pilato.
Hi,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to speak in support of GB 510. I wanted to thank school committee members who know when we're bringing this forward. Again, as everyone said, that before, Worcester Public Schools should be a safe and a safe environment for all students, an environment that fosters education and community. We need to make sure that all of our students feel safe in one way, including their families, that they feel safe and supported. This is a great way to do that, especially with we're seeing what's happening nationally, and now is a very scary time for members of the LGBTQ plus community, as well as members of the disability and BIPOC community. So I really hope the school committee passes this, and this is a great way to show that Worcester Public Schools are an inclusive and welcoming environment. Thank you.
Thank you. There's our final speaker. Okay. So we're going to go to the item, GB 5-10. Propose the following resolution to waive protection of LGBTQ plus and trans children and their families in the public school system, despite actions of the current President of the United States and inactions of many other leaders.
I've listened to the council meetings for the last 3 weeks, to everybody's comments, and I listened tonight, and every single time I hear these words, it goes to my stomach, it goes to my heart, and through the chair, I just, I'm so proud to be part of this system when we say all means all, and we mean that. And the first person out of the gate was our superintendent on the migrant and how we were going to handle our black and brown kids and our immigrants in this community. And as I said in the item, there are 2 groups that have been targeted for the past many months during this national election, and it's the migrant community and it's the LGBTQIA community. And in my mind, we must use our voices. I listen to our Congressman Jim McGovern through the chair say we need to speak up. We need to speak up for these families that are most targeted, for these students. And for our employees, 5,000 people work for our school system, and the hate and vitriol around this particular issue for LGBTQ community is incredibly sad, mean, all of that stuff targeted. All means all. And think about our new mural authority, right? We start with the map of Worcester. Christine from Longwood Pagano designed it, and then we see the state, and then we see the world, and we say from here, anywhere in our system. And imagine the advantage our kids would have to understand that we can speak to hate, that we're showing them to be engaged community members, and we're proud to hear what they have to say on very tough topics that we want to talk about. So, so I feel very strongly about this. I also want my colleagues to know that I reached out to MASC, to the CEO. I went through the resolution with him, and he felt our resolution was absolutely in line with protecting kids while they're in school, and that's what our job is here. And that they were consistent, the resolution is consistent with state law and with DESE, and that also with the National Association of School Boards. So thank you for listening and considering, and I hope we can have this as a unanimous statement tonight. Thank you.
Thank you to the chair. So 2022, when I got sworn in and served on the Worcester School Committee for the first time with my previous members, Tracy O'Connor, Novik, Laura Clancy, Jim Kamara, along with myself, Marlon Collin, member of the school committee, along with you, Mr. Mayor. Without a doubt, no questions asked, from the beginning, I believe we did things and we did work here on the school committee that would improve all students within the Worcester Public Schools. and free of being bullied, harassed, discriminated against. We worked on different policies around bullying, the dress code policy to be more inclusive to all our students, no matter where race, cultural, ethnicity that they come from. We really worked hard on that. And Superintendent Monterez came in and we continued to do that. And I remember prior to fellow member O'Connor Novick leaving, she had an order on in regards to starting a parent support group for the parents of the students in Worcester Public Schools who are part of the LGBTQA plus community, and that got voted in unanimously. And superintendent went out and started that and is doing that work now. And I think from the beginning that's always been a focus of mine. And now in 2024, when I started my second term, and to this day, this has nothing to do with this current body or whatever. I believe we have continued to stress that and express that we continue to move this district forward and ensure that our kids are educated in an inclusive environment that is free from harassment, discrimination, bullying. And unfortunately, the time that we're in now here in the country and kind of everything that's going on, that's feeling not so sacred anymore. And people feel in a certain way, feeling vulnerable and scared and everything. And it's not just the LGBTQA plus community, but when you talk about migrant community. And speaking with Superintendent Monterez last night, the amount of days that some of our students miss school last week due to fears of being taken back through ICE and all this other stuff. It's just a scary time for all our students here at public schools, including the parents. I hear everything everyone's saying. What I can tell you is in my day job as a social worker, I've been seeing this and dealing with this for a very long time, and knowing the vulnerability of the LGBTQ plus community and working with kids who really do suffer with mental health issues and very discerning things that maybe others just don't, when you don't see it and hear it every day, maybe you just don't understand. But what I would tell you is I hear it, I see it, I understand it. I am committed to working on it, improving it, making it better. And, the resolution here is in front of us. But what I will say is that, for me, I don't think I really needed a resolution, because I really believe that in my day-to-day life, in the work that I do, and what I strive for as being part of this committee, is that all students, LGBTQ+, Black, Brown, migrants, they are going to have a place where they can come to every day, hopefully, feel safe, feel protected, get a good quality education, and be free of any harassment, bullying, and discrimination. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that those things don't occur, because they do. One thing that kind of struck me was when I was reading an article today from the Telegram member Million had put in there, gotten speaking with some parents and students, and they reported that they've been bullied and persecuted within the Worcester Public School doors. And that really bothered me. And so with that is, Mr. Chairman, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a motion with a report on the number of reported incidents in the schools for discrimination and bullying towards any student who identified in the LGBTQ+ community. Included in that report, please highlight any other subcategories that may be applicable to this information that we may be looking for. In the second motion, I will be asking for, Mr. Chairman, would be a report on what our next steps and actions are from the Worcester Public Schools in continuing to support students in LGBTQ plus community, along with the overall branch of it. With that, will also supports all our students in the Worcester Public Schools. So those will be my two motions off of this resolution today, Mr. Chairman. And again, I am committed to doing this work. I'm committed to the LGBTQ plus community. I'm committed to the Worcester community, kids in the school, parents in the school, our teachers that identify within the Worcester Public Schools. And I really believe what I do know and what I'm aware of right now is that Superintendent Monterez and her team are doing that work, and they're trying to do that work. And if there's any way that we could be benefit to that, or anything that we're missing, if there's any policies or anything that we need to improve on, or whatever, please let us know, and actually we will get that done as a school community as a whole. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time. And I think we're all supportive of this item. I don't think that there's any question about that. We've all been very vocal supportive of all of our students and care deeply about their well-being. And I've always voiced our opinions that we are all anti-bullying on all fronts. Our LGBTQ plus and trans community are no difference, and we all want to continue making all of us included. This unfair or unequal treatment of individuals based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression is unacceptable. This can occur in various forms, including socially, economically, legally, and then institutional discrimination. In my personal life, I obviously work with businesses. They're afraid too. They're afraid. They're afraid that their employees are going to be continually harassed or taken off. This discrimination can cause significant emotional and mental harm, leading to increased rates of depression, anxiety, and other challenges within the LGBTQ community. It's important for society to promote inclusivity, support and equal rights for all individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. So I'm going to hope that we can all ensure the safety of all of our students, ensure that we all, as elected officials, support them all, and build a place where we can all call home here in the Worcester school system. I am in support of Member Johnson's motion. I think that it's very important to make sure that we have the correct data. We want to make sure that we're making informed decisions. So I do appreciate it. I appreciate the item, and I will let the rest of us talk. I think we all have a lot to say on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Petty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do support this resolution. It's a scary time out there, especially since inauguration. We want to take the T out of LGBTQ plus, and being part of that community is going to really scary. I spent the last 2 weekends going to the community, going to churches, talking to them about immigration, how scared people are, not wanting to participate, not wanting to go to church, not going to work, not sending this. We should get a report on attendance. I think the public schools like to see that in the future. In the last couple of weeks, the comparison of youth leaders report that will show us that students are not coming because a lot of parents aren't sending their kids to school. Either Worcester or somewhere else. So, because they're afraid to leave their house. No issue with your family. And we should be pretty proud we've done here as a city. We've got the health curriculum through, which talks about the LGBTQ curriculum. And that was something we got through probably, I'll say 4 or 5 years ago now. It makes a difference. And also look at even the Human Rights Index that came out in 2024, it was one of the leading cities when it comes to human rights and LGBTQ community. I'm pretty proud of that record because when I first became here, I was like 54%. Now I believe 100%. I'd say 100% some way. I think we're one of the leaders in the state of Massachusetts too. And that's why people, I think, come here to move here and feel safe here. And our job is to make sure everybody feels safe here. And we'll continue to do that. as a city. One of the most, I'll never forget the day I first became mayor. I met with state farmers. I met with a lot of young adults, children, who were going through a very tough time. The impression was left on me when they're talking about, one, either that they tried to commit suicide, two, the friend tried that they commit suicide, and so it's a scary time. And I'll never forget when I left that room, what I felt. And these are young people who just want to live their lives, be respected, be part of the community. And I think that's, as a community, as a school community, I think we've done that over the last few years, and I think it shows in our record, and we'll continue to do so. So it's important that we continue as a group, that we go out in the community, we talk to people, make sure we feel welcomed here and safe. So that's the most important thing we can do. We'll continue to do that as a community. I'll be out again, getting the snow this weekend, talking to different parts of the community, meeting with people, making sure they're not living in fear in the city of Worcester. It's a sad day in the United States of America, and people have to live fear. And very sad day. So, and that's not going to happen in the city of Worcester. Not going to allow it to happen. I appreciate the superintendent has done, the administration, speaking of the last 7 years, and continue to do that going forward. And Mr. Chairman, you say so eloquently all the time when you speak, and I appreciate your comments tonight. I thought you said it was well said, and that as a team here, we'll make sure everybody is safe, and we do our best in making sure that everybody is respected. And that's why, I think this is that's why people move to the city of Worcester. And that's what you said last week, Tuesday at the council. People come here because they feel safe. And I think people send that message. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Member Alvarez.
I just want to thank my colleague, Member Mailman, for bringing us to our school committee meeting today. Her voice speaks for many of us, as you have observed. Our job is to protect, accept, and educate our scholars, no matter what the cost looks like or feels like. And this item is really for protection. Protection for those working in our schools already, fighting for our LGBTQ community, like the colleagues, like the courageous individual working at the JSA program at Burncoat. Thank you for your comments earlier. We all heard you speak earlier. Or the lovely mother who took a risk by moving to our city from England, that's so far away, and enrolling her child into our public school system. This item establishes hope and provides some sort of relief. I hope we are all able to understand that, and from what I've already heard, it seems like we can all say that. And this is the first step to displaying an extra layer of safety to our scholars and educators. I also want to mention that Carol Caesar from earlier, who spoke online, she mentioned something that stood out to me, and I think that should be our next step, is providing more trainings for our educators and kind of just educating our students a little bit more, a lot more so they can understand, but also just putting that out there. Trainings. I think that needs to be the next step.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who came here in person and spoke, and to those people that spoke online, and to my colleagues for the comments that you've already made this evening. As members I did prepare my statement tonight. Usually I kind of speak off the cuff, but I think this is so important that I want to make sure that I'm covering all of my thoughts. As members of the school committee, I do believe that each one of us believes in protecting our students and maintaining a safe space for our students as well as our staff. While Member Mailman's proposed resolution focuses specifically on the LGBTQIA+ community, we have heard a great deal of concern surrounding our immigrant community as well in recent weeks. Recognizing the fundamental importance of ensuring a safe, inclusive, and welcoming environment for all students and staff is imperative. Our responsibility extends beyond policy. It is about listening to and valuing the voices of our community, particularly to those who have been historically marginalized. Whether threats are perceived or actual, the fear they generate is real. This is especially true for our immigrant community, our LGBTQIA+ community, and other marginalized groups who often face unique challenges and vulnerabilities. It is important that we hear what our community members are saying and act with compassion while reinforcing a culture of safety and belonging in our schools. As a school committee member, I am committed to upholding existing policies and state laws that protect against bullying and discrimination. I will continue to support this administration in fostering an environment where every student and staff member feels valued and empowered. And similar to Member Mailman, I actually also consulted with MASC, and after reviewing the resolution as presented around our language and our current policies, I do have a proposed amended resolution that I wanted to share, which I couldn't share ahead of time because that would be against open meeting law. So Member Gordon, I'll just pass those out, and I'm going to send it over to the clerk or to PC so that can be shared on the screen so people can see it. One of the things, as I said, is to propose an amended resolution for consideration that uses some of the more current and accurate policy language and also includes our staff members as those whom we are going to continue to provide a safe space for. Reading emails and listening to people here speaking tonight, it's clear that people want staff to know that they are safe and supported as well. Member Mailman referenced it in her comments equally. And I'd like to make a motion additionally that the clerk, that the 4 policies that are listed are the most current in line with MASC policies. I didn't include the hyperlink on my draft because I believe that some of our policies on our site aren't the most current with the MASC policies, so I just want to make sure that if this is something that people are amenable to, that the correct hyperlink is on that. So I just again want to say thank you to everyone who's commented tonight, to our community to know that we're hearing you, we're listening to you, we understand that there's real fear out there, and that we are supportive of continuing to maintain the Worcester Public Schools as a safe space for all of our students and staff. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Is there anybody else?
yeah, maybe later. Member Mailman? Go ahead. Maybe nobody had any hand up, I didn't see it.
That's okay.
Member Manicure?
I'd like a moment to peruse this before we move
You want to
on.
take a maybe 5-minute recess? And
Sure.
Do your own purpose, is that all right? Okay.
Fine, thank you.
Just like this one, exactly. Just like so say you there was an opposition. I don't know what. I don't know.
So at what point was there, like, who would engage with the company?
How
do they even know, like,
I agree. I used to work
it's hard. It's really hard.
I think a lot of kids have a hard time with that, unfortunately. There are.
So you want to use something that
positions of my own that I try to hold every Monday.
Yeah.
It does.
I changed my Siri. Makes me so happy. It makes me so happy.
So they were kind of against.
You don't wear them all the time.
Yes, I don't see you.
Yeah. You're just like puzzles, right?
Oh, you want to copy?
I know, I wonder why they don't see it well.
Around the backdrop. I'll do my thanks for coming. I've got more. I'll get a couple more if you don't mind. Thank you.
They should all already.
So that
They can't.
they're not going to yeah. Nobody knows who's doing
Right. What really got me was...
It's a balance.
Yeah. Oh my
God. Okay, so one of you wants to throw my child at the sky. The other one's like, well, yeah, we should really see how much I'm teaching my classes. And that's the majority of years admonish us for not politely sitting there quietly and talking about your children.
What really got me was we heard 50 people tonight, but there's also, and they're in that, but it's much says gender identity. Oh.
Stripped LGBTQ out of the title and also gender expression.
Oh yeah, just identity.
Yes, it's in the third whereas. But also the resolve was gone in. It's still weird.
But now it feels like because it's
Yes, but something, so this was what she was doing, like things
you know what?
like the whole thing was this what was just introduced?
Yeah. This was the
my answer is that yes, that makes a ton of sense, but also when she brought it up, we were talking about, I think she got it like since this agenda came out or something.
Yeah.
Right, that one.
It's like she's taking the.
Okay, welcome back, and Member Bean Carey, I think we left you too.
Thank you. Just a couple of things I'd like to review. And that is, we have 24,778 students. We have 5,000 plus employees. And we have 15 plus unions. As a body, we have to negotiate, determine what's beneficial for our district, for our school system. We look at facilities, what our schools need. And we are the arm to the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. That means we cover all students, all staff. So we look at funding, we follow the state laws, and we review them to ensure that we are following in line with that. We champion for all students. Let me repeat that. We champion for all students. The resolution that's here for Safe Schools Resolution, it's maintaining and continuing to foster a safe, inclusive, and supportive learning environment for all of our students and staff. We take it very seriously. Never attended a meeting where it's been looked at as though it's irrelevant or brushed to the side. We're also a bipartisan body. So when we look at an approach of what we're putting on for safe schools, we want to ensure that we are protecting everyone at all times. So some of the comments I'm not too fond of that are here, that were presented by a school committee member on how to get to this resolution. And the changes I certainly appreciate, I agree with. I think the safe space is a piece, the word maintaining and looking at all students, staff and families and caregivers for promoting respect and integrity and inclusion. And that's what we've been doing for a number of years. So I look forward to getting data information because I think some of it is going to be of value as we move forward. So I certainly am in agreement with the motion that was put through by my colleague, Mr. Johnson, in reference to that. And I look at what we have presently in front of us, and I think this is in the right direction. And we should be very proud that we are looking at this as all students, regardless of race, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, disability, age, or any other category projected by state or federal law.
Well, I'm currently not protected by federal.
So when I look at this, I look at the quality of our education, and I'm interested in what we have down so far in a formal report for what we have for bullying and what has occurred, because accusations have been put across. And when I'm speaking with the superintendent in our conversation, these actions have been looked at and resolved, and we don't have to have a formal report that would then moved on to what we would consider reports that we have to provide throughout the state. So I welcome what has been brought as a resolution. I hope we can move forward and center our thoughts and our concerns around our budget, our students, the education that is provided, and ensuring that we're giving transportation, we're enabling every student to walk into our buildings and feel safe. And this is what the purpose of this resolution, as far as I'm concerned, stands for. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So, I appreciate Member McCullough's changes to make sure we have updated policies. In the original resolution that was put before you that I'm not going to withdraw, I want to use this resolution. We did include district employees, if you look at the first, therefore it be resolved. So they are included in that, which is an important point. I agree with that. And again, I